Don't mock. I'm not a fool. Don't mock. I'm not a fool.
I just think that would be fun.
Hey there, it's Tony Curl here, and welcome to Leadership Lessons, episode 99 of the Dumb Leaders podcast. Today I'm sharing a very simple message, and one that most leaders need to hear. Now, leaders will often see themselves as being bulletproof. They see themselves as the ones that have to lead from the front, lead the way, channeling their energy to keep their team on top of things and to get the best possible outcomes for the organizations. We may have a belief that by doing this we're stoic. Well, maybe we see ourselves as a bit of a martyr and the sacrifices that we make in leading our teams. But predominantly we see ourselves as needing to be invincible and bulletproof. Now, there is a bit of a changing of the guard in this respect in the corporate landscape as we see it, and it's really positive to see this changing of the guard, because seeing ourselves as invincible is really a shortcut to creating burnout, health issues, and ultimately making poor leadership decisions from what I would say and call leadership fatigue. Now, mindfulness in the workplace, balance, alignment, workplace health and happiness programs are just some of the trends that we are seeing in the workplace. There is an increasing amount of corporate wellness programs being embraced. But critically, they will not help some of the leaders. Now, for some corporates that take on these programs, they do it purely as a tick and flick for the public relations or the spin that they place on that. But many actually embrace these programs and reap the rewards. Now, I recently spoke with Amy Lynn Durham for an upcoming episode of the Today's Leader podcast, where she shared one of her biggest aha moments as a leader was when it came to pass that someone mentioned to her that companies employ you for your judgment, not your stamina. So companies employ you for your judgment, not your stamina. And this is a brilliant thing for leaders to focus on. You are being employed for your leadership judgment and not your stamina. Now, the problem with corporate programs can be twofold. Often it's the individuals themselves that don't embrace it because it's not aligning with their beliefs or how they've managed to get to where they are within that organization or the industry. Or it's the culture of the organization. And when I talk about culture of the organization, people see what gets rewarded. So if reward is based around the length of time that someone is sitting in a chair getting a job done, or the early starts and the late evening finishes. If that's what's being rewarded in terms of promotion, that's the culture that you're going to create because that's the expectation. Now, in my career, I've seen many long-serving managers. Now, I worked for some, I became friends with some. And after 30 years of giving everything they had to a company, the early starts, the late nights, they ultimately retire and feel completely lost in retirement. The one thing that they truly cared about is no longer there. The company's moved on, and the company has moved on without them. And it's only then that they start to realize that they're not invincible. So, and that ultimately the company just continues to live, whether you're with it or not. Now, you're not invincible. You must have something outside of the organization that's going to sustain you and refresh you. For our younger entrepreneurs, we often see burnout being a bit of a badge for the passion that they've got for their project or their startup or their new app or their $1 million business idea. And being singly focused is good, but you also need to have something that's available to you that's going to refresh you along the way. Working 16 hours, 18 hours a day on a startup idea is a surefire way to actually burn out, and it's a surefire way to ultimately become ineffective. And that's a word that any leader does not want to have when people discuss their performance. You want to be effective, you don't want to be ineffective. Remember, people employ you or people have you as part of the team for your judgment, not your stamina. So whatever it looks like for you, you need to find this something outside of your passion so that you can refresh. Now, it could be exercise, it could be meditation, it could be walks in nature, it could be, music, it could be taking on a hobby or actually investing in some of the hobbies that you have. All of that's important for you. So whatever that looks like, embrace that, please. Being the first in and being the last out is not what you're employed for. You're employed as a leader, not as a marathon corporate warrior. You are not invincible. Remember that. Be clear on who you are as a leader and how you can be effective as a leader for your team and company. And to remain effective means that you need to have that balance, that alignment with heart, but you also need to certainly be making sure that you've got something outside of the work that replenishes you. Embrace those ways for you to freshen up, sharpen up, and take positive steps towards being a better leader. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Leadership Lessons right here on the Dumb Leaders Podcast. I'll see you all again next week. Bye for now.
Don't mock. I'm not a fool. And people who know me personally know that I am not a fool. But I won't get into the details of those. I just want people to realize that I'm not a fool. Don't mock. I'm not a fool. Don't mock. I'm not a fool.